I am Camille Jones. It is Wednesday evening time for Logical Wellness, a show that simply hopes to give you enough information to create logic in your life in order for you to be well. IG, you are always on. Thank you very much for the follow. If you are streaming with us on our Chit Chat Radio 410 website or on YouTube or any of these streaming avenues, make sure after 8:30, if I decide to go that long, that y'all hop on IG, CEJ Images, so that we can continue the conversation. Hello, Tastefully Tempting. What's happening? Norris Sports. Hey, Cheryl, Shearer, and Positive P, two of my affiliates around the country, y'all, California and Tennessee. Good evening to y'all, too. Let's get into it because today was a long ass day and I'm tired. So we're going to do this in about an hour. I am going to try to answer some questions for y'all tonight too. So if you have any, let me know. Put them in the chat. If I miss them, please put them in again. So let me start with my disclaimers like I always do. For those of you that are new followers, I am not a physician. I am a holistic health provider. We, as holistic health providers, focus on healing. We prefer not to treat. That's the difference, okay? What the information that I give you is not to tell you to stop going to your doctors or taking your medication. My goal is to simply give you information that is logical so that it can stop you from making decisions that you may make out of fear that will keep you sick for most of your life, right? So let me tell you what's up tonight. Let me tell you what's up. Hey, y'all. So let me tell you what's happening. So for those of you, okay, and this is why I wanted to talk about what I was talking about. It is very important, y'all, that we stop being complacent in being sick in a healthcare system that was never created to heal us. And I'm serious. So many of us keep ourselves sick and ill, and we keep our families ill because we don't allow ourselves to think. We are so programmed by fear. We're so programmed by fear. And what we don't understand, and when I say we, I mean we, because the human species is a collective. We are a collective energy. So if some of us are effing up, it's on all of us. So when I say we, that's what I mean. I mean this we collective energy. And that's what gets me. The power is in the collective. But we are so programmed for divisiveness, we can't even see. And we suffer and we complain about things that we could change if we just open the brain, if you just turn off the TV, if you just get outside of negative programming. So let me go into what really made me want to talk about this today. So many of you all saw the reel that I posted a couple of days ago on autism. And I will tell you this now. I have so many messages across my website and all social media. I mean, hundreds, y'all. I cannot answer them all, and I'm trying, but I can't. So many of y'all saw that reel that I posted the other day. And what is sad is how many people are actually contacting me about their children who have been diagnosed with autism. Because if you're my age or older, you know what we used to call that? Down syndrome. You know, they recycle all these diseases and conditions, right? They just take one and then they create a vax for it. And then all of a sudden we got new ones. So back in the day, we used to call that Down syndrome. Now they call it autism, right? So I was upset, but happy that these people actually reached out to me with children who have been diagnosed with autism, but also very sad at the number of people that actually did. I am astounded. I'm astounded at the number of people whose children have been diagnosed autistic, especially because I know what autism is and what it's not. And so those of you who have reached out to me across social media about your children who are autistic, please do me a favor and go online and schedule a free consult with me first. That way I can see the child. I can tell you what the child needs. If you send me messages, either DM or on TikTok, it is very possible that I will miss them. So please just go ahead and schedule consults with me, and I will direct you then. Now, what made me decide to talk about this programming and this fear is somebody on TikTok. And let me tell you, TikTok has created a population of people with cojones the size of this country. I thought Instagram was bad. TikTok takes that to another stratosphere, okay? And so people, say things that are just illogical, and they say it in anger as if someone has offended them. So I posted this reel of this child who had diagnosed autism, because y'all know I don't believe in disease, right? It's called inflammation. That's it. So I don't believe in disease. So for those of you who didn't see the reel, I posted a reel of a child that I'm seeing that is diagnosed autistic. And I purposely put into the reel videos of that child at different stages of detox when he was seeing me. In the first 3 seconds of the video, the first thing I said was, some of you are not going to be prepared for the type of conversation that this involves. And so all I'm saying is that this reel is a showcase of the neurological and physical changes in this child. I never use the word cure, because I don't believe in a cure. You got to believe in disease to believe in a cure. I don't believe in a cure. So I never said that. And I intentionally prefaced the video because I knew there were going to be some parents who have been so programmed into hopelessness that they would not be open enough to hear or even see what their eyes were showing them. So this woman responds to me on TikTok and says, as a mother of an autistic child and someone who works with people on the spectrum, your video is completely irresponsible. And I was like, what? I was like, huh? I didn't understand at first. I was like, okay, maybe she saw something that I didn't see. And so somebody else responded to her and was like, what are you talking about? She never said anything about the word cure. Here's the problem. As a parent of an autistic child or a diabetic child or a child that's been diagnosed with cancer or any other disease, if you have allowed yourself to be programmed by a system that was never created to heal you in the first place, you are dooming your children to a very low quality of life and an early death. And I will say that again. If you are a parent who has a child who is suffering from a diagnosis, and you have allowed our current healthcare system to program you into being hopeless with no power or foresight in order to do so, then you are dooming your child to a low quality of life and an early death. The video that I posted showed the child improving in speech, aesthetics, and cognitive function. I didn't just put the reel together and say, oh, guess what? This is what happens when you treat an autistic child. I'm not going to say that because I knew what the backlash for that would be. So I put the proof in the reel. However, this mother is clearly someone who has been in the Western healthcare system, who has told her all her child's life that her child will never get better. And the mother has become hopeless. And when you are hopeless as a parent, you are dooming your child to death. And you can argue me down about that all day long because you had to be an idiot to not see the change in the child that was in that reel. You had to be someone who refuses to see the possibility of hope in order to fight what you saw. Similar to my client the other day, who tried to argue that his blood pressure went down after a massage of the sinuses, even though he was looking with his own eyes at his improvement. It's the same thing with her, the same thing with many parents. As I remind us every week, right? Most doctors became doctors to help people. However, their training for helping people was a lie. Rockefeller created Western medicine specifically to operate and prescribe meds so that he could make profit. Period. Our Western allopathic mindset was never created to heal us. That does not make doctors bad people at all. It simply means that what they are using to treat us is designed for profit. There is no healing in it. They have a personal desire to make you better, but nothing that they've learned has to do with healing. Ask any doctor about the lymph system. Most of them don't know about it. And if they do, many of them are just hearing about it now. Most of them don't. But without the function of the lymph system, there is no function in the body. There is only inflammation because the water of the lymphs is what carries oxygen through the body. The body is logical. We are biological, not bioscientific. So for this mother, she has gotten herself in a space where she's no longer looking for help for her child. She ain't even looking. She's not looking. All she's doing is being resolute in the fact that her child is going to be sick and diagnosed forever, and she's just going to deal with it. You know what that does to a child? You know what that does to a child's mentality? These kids who are diagnosed autistic aren't stupid. They don't have a disconnection. They simply have water that's not moving. So just like in the reel that I played with Cash yesterday, Cash understood everything we were saying to him. But the physical stagnation of his sinuses would not allow him to process what he knew he was trying to get out. And so there are so many parents who are now going into this Western system, this allopathic system, and they're being told by a human that your child will never get better. And I want you to go there with me. Many of you go to the doctor and you allow them to saddle you, because that's what they're doing. They're throwing this word out that's attached to these symptoms, and they're saddling you with this disease, right? And then they're saddling you with an expectation of symptoms that they have no clue about outside of books that they read that were created 200 years ago that have nothing to do with today's time, the lymph system, your body, or me. You then acknowledge out of fear, right? And once they use spectrum, right? Thank you, Monica. They use the spectrum, the autism spectrum. What in the shithole is that? What is that? What do you mean on what spectrum? What spectrum are you using? Are you using a verbal spectrum? And what do you mean a verbal spectrum? Can they talk or can't they talk? Can they say some words or can they not say some words? Can they pronounce some things and not others? What spectrum? A spectrum means they don't freaking know. It's a range. A range of what? I don't know. Go Google the cause of autism. Google the cause of autism. You know what they'll tell you? We don't know. We don't know what it's from. Yet if there is someone who is able to show you in a video what the actual issue is, but you're already in that programming, you have missed out on saving your life and or your child's simply because you're in the programming state of hopelessness. When you do that, when you acknowledge that in your brain feeds the body. The body can't function, y'all. The body can't function. Lizette, good evening. The body can't function without a signal from the brain. So what you are feeding or acknowledging or accepting in your brain is being fed directly to your body, and the only thing the body can do is carry out your wishes. That's it. That's it. So you sit in front of a doctor, okay? And we've established that doctors are human. Yes. We've also established that doctors weren't born doctors, right? So they don't know any more than we do until they decide to go down a career path that has them memorize stuff. You allow a human who does not have the knowledge or the power to create you, you allow that human to use information that was fed to them by information that was created 200 years ago. You allow them to dictate to you that you are sick and terminal. And then you know what you do? You acknowledge it. Okay, I have cancer. No, you don't. I have diabetes. No, you don't. But if you keep saying you do, you absolutely do. Because guess what your body can't do? If you say to your body, I have cancer, the body doesn't have its own brain to say, you know what? No, I don't. So I'm going to go and do my own thing. I'm going to go do my own thing and I'm not going to be sick, but the brain's going to be sick. Doesn't work like that, y'all. And it's the same thing for your children. Your children depend on you to teach them and take care of them and teach them things that are going to give them a high quality of life. The minute you allow your fear to step in front of your child, it's done. It's done. It's on a track now, because now you've got them on this med, that med, none of which are helping them, most of which are damaging them. Because you decided to believe a human being and a human being that did not create you to tell you that you or that child is terminal. The fact that some of you actually have accepted and take on that autism cannot be healed. Now, it can't be cured. Yeah, can't be cured because Western medicine tries to find cures all day, right? And they can't, because they're not looking at the origin. They're looking at the symptom. They'll never find a cure, right? They'll never find a cure. It's just experimentation until then. But the body, that the internal workings of the body, which is much more powerful than a human ever will be. The one thing that speaks to you 24/7 and gives you every answer that you want, you have decided to turn off that information and run to a person who has no control nor knowledge of what's going to happen to you. But what happens is you accept it, you then put it into the brain, and by default and by the creation of the body does what you say. You're sick? Oh yeah, the body's going to be sick. Yeah, because the body doesn't have a choice, right? Body doesn't have its own brain. But when it comes to your children, how in the world are you going to let a human, even me, even somebody who's been helping people, how are you going to let any of us sit and tell you what's going to happen for the rest of your life? You know how much power you would give me to say that? You are actually going to believe that I know exactly how your life is going to be for the rest of your life. Do you know how much power you are giving away when you do that? You are complacent in being ill. It's almost like you want to search for a disease so you have an excuse to be lazy as shit. That's what that is. You don't want to do the work. Because the body will heal itself. But guess what? It takes work. It takes work. You have to be cognizant. You have to think. You got to use your freaking brain. You got to know what to put in the body and not put in the body. You have to know what your body wants and what it doesn't want. You have to slow your roll enough to pay attention to when your body even says something to you. Most of y'all have no idea what your body is doing when it's talking to you. You have no clue. Do you know that an itch and a pain is all water buildup? It's either a stagnation or a buildup of scar tissue in your body, because the body is water on the inside. But you want to go to a doctor who doesn't know anything about the past 6 weeks, 6 months, nothing about your life, and have them dictate to you why you're itching. How in the hell do they know? They don't. But you do. If you pay attention You knew because your body was telling you. You knew exactly when the itch started. You knew exactly when the pain started. If you slowed down enough, you would remember what you were doing when the pain started, right? And right, everybody's talking about, see, losing their parents and close friends after the doctors told them they were terminal. Yo, and listen, so it's work to be well, but it's not hard work, y'all. It's the easiest thing in the world because wellness is our birthright. We were born into wellness. You do know that until we start effing with it and we live in an environment that's literally trying to kill us, right? So you do know that everything man-made kills the natural body, right? Because humans cannot create humans. And let me tell you why they can't. And they're trying, which is very dangerous, but they can't. The way we process in this water in our body is in very, very small, very nanoparticulate, small molecular function. It has to be that small to get through the water. We're not talking about things that run through the body that are like the size of golf balls. The functionality is either an electrical current or a nanoparticle, molecular sized atom or molecule. Humans cannot create anything that small yet. They're trying, which is what the last 2 years were. And the upcoming gazillion, we're trying, but we can't. And until we can, and even we'll never be able to, we will never be able to replicate this, right? Which means there is no human that's stronger than you are when it comes to your wellness. The amount of your power in your life that you give to doctors by not asking a question, not connecting any dots. You do know when you go to the doctor, they give you a suggestion, right? A suggestion based on things that aren't fact, but a suggestion based on, I don't know, some average stuff that they might have read in a book, or maybe they saw a couple people that had the same symptoms, or maybe, listen, okay. There is a belief in our system, right? In this healthcare system, in this propaganda that we call our healthcare system, that clinical trials of things are being done that can assess either the efficacy or the harm to a human based on these clinical trials. Do you all understand how many billions of people are on this earth? And do you also understand that these little clinical trials that you seem to follow the FDA for only have a couple hundred or a couple of thousand people? So if you're going to tell me that you know the averages of results for people in the data, unless you're sampling billions of people, you can't even talk to me. You can't even talk to me. And some of you all base your logic on the fact that, oh, the FDA approved it. Yo, let me tell you this. Y'all better do the opposite of everything the FDA tells you forever and ever. Amen. Because the FDA is the same agency, right? And here they go, because you know they like to cut me off when I start talking. So let me know if they do. They're the same agency that approves all these meds that they later come back 10 and 20 years later and tell you kill you, right? They're the same agency that tell you about all these things that you can implant in your body, and then they come back and say, oh, nope, that ain't it. That'll kill you. Go ahead and sue the manufacturer. Go ahead and sue the pharmaceutical companies. But you know you can't, right? That's in the fine print. Y'all ain't reading. So y'all are following, why are you following? What have they ever done or given to you that has been beneficial for you? And you're like, oh my God, they give me the best information in the world. Let me do exactly what they say. I want 3 things that you all have agreed to do because they told you to that have been beneficial for you. I will give you 3 seconds. Go ahead and think. 1, 2, 3. Y'all can't think of one because there isn't one, right? That right there is simply an agency created to make it seem like there is a consumer protection for what they know is coming on the back end. Period. 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 Ooh, and I love doctors who left the medical field. Golly. Yeah, 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 yeah. So I need you all to understand that I'm not saying that you can't go to a doctor. That's not what I'm saying. I don't go to one. For what? For what? But I want you to understand this, okay? And this is the logic that I need you to put in your brain so that you don't cause yourself to be a part of this system that is literally like genocide. So you go to a person. So listen, right? You do know that doctors are paid to find problems. Yes? They're paid for that. That's what they do. So if you go to one, you're almost guaranteed, right, to have them find a problem. But here's the other side of the problem. Doctors don't understand the body because we're human. There is no way that we can assess how the natural body functions because everything is on the inside. The minute we cut, Tayden, my boy, hi Tayden, I love Tayden. Tayden, I miss you. I'm coming to see you. But for those of y'all who saw the reel, the other young man who was in that reel with Cash was Tayden. Hi, Tayden. So listen, when you go to a doctor, they are paid to diagnose a problem. They don't know the inner workings of the body. None of us do. Because in order to understand the natural original function of the body, that would mean that you would have to be some, I don't know, nanoparticle with a camera that ran inside the body and established the function of the body. But that's impossible because anytime the body has a foreign entity or a trauma, then it changes its natural function and it goes into fight mode. So everything that they're looking at is the natural fight mode in the body. So when you go to a doctor who are paid to diagnose a problem, they're paid to find shit, right? That's what they're paid to do. Everything to them looks like a problem because they don't understand the natural workings of the body. None of us do, right? None of us do. Absolutely. Every single thing you need to heal is in your kitchen, inside your body, outside on the ground, in the air, in the water. We are nature, y'all. So nature is the only thing that can heal us. Doctors can treat you for the rest of your life. And isn't that what happens? You have people that have kidney disorders and they're on meds until what? Until what? Until they go on dialysis, right? And then do they ever come off dialysis? Most of them don't. No, most of them die after that. Why? Because the kidneys weren't the problem. All right. So the lymph system is the one system in the body that its job is to 24/7 run the water through the body, picking out toxins from the veins and the capillaries so that those toxins don't dump into the tissues and the cells. It's water. Oxygen doesn't travel in the body without being taken through the lymph water, which is why it is crucial for you to get up and move. Some of y'all are sick because you don't want to get your ass off the sofa. That's it. All you would have to do is take a walk 10 minutes a day, and y'all would probably get off your meds, but you don't want to. You don't want to. You'd rather be dictated to and toxified all your life and then have somebody to blame. Oh, well, if you ain't trying to take responsibility, then you could just be sick forever, right? You can just be sick forever. So here's one of the ridiculous things, right? Here's one of the ridiculous things about going to the doctor. And this is logic, right? So if I cut off a limb, yeah, I'm going to see a surgeon. But other than that, why am I going to a doctor? I was raised that you don't go to the doctor unless you're sick. And my parents are doctors. Why am I going to a doctor for one? Listen, when you go to a doctor, you're in a doctor's office one moment of one day of your entire life. One moment. The moment they take your blood and you stand up, all of the levels that they just read in your blood are going to change. It's a moment. It's a second. It has nothing to do with the way you live your life outside of that one moment. All right. So I have to pause for a second because somebody asked about a cyst on their chest. Listen, I'm glad you asked me that because I just was talking to another client. Listen to what I'm saying to y'all. Cysts, polyps, and tumors are all the same thing. They are only differentiated by size. They are all masses of tissue where the lymph node trash cans did not, for some reason, flow through the lymphs and out. They dumped back into the tissues and started to swell. If it dumps into the cells, they call that cancer. If it dumps into the tissues and starts to swell, they call it a cyst or a polyp. And then depending on the size, then it may be a tumor. It's the same exact thing. Where is the cyst on your chest? Is it in the middle right here? Or is it on either side of the breast? But those things are the same thing. So your lymph water works automatically, which is why they call autoimmune diseases where the lymphs aren't functioning automatically. But here's what's crazy. That means everything is an autoimmune condition. Everything. Because if your lymphs aren't moving automatically, there is no immunity in the body. So they are, yeah. So they are guessing based on what they were taught. But remember what I said about what they were taught. What they were taught simply directs them to medicate or operate. That is the practice of medicine. They are punished if they use logic that takes them out of their system. Doctors can be taken up before the board if they go outside of the box and do something that the insurance companies, the AMA, and Big Pharma tell them they can't do, right? It's above the breast in the middle. Yeah, here. So if there's a cyst here, you know what this is? This is the thoracic duct, right? Right in between the hyoid bone. But what is important about this clavicle here is that this triangle where the head sits in the body is where the body gets its oxygen from the head, right? But if you are inflamed here and the person who has a cyst, if you look in the mirror, you're probably going to be thick right here. If you push down, you're going to feel it's like water. It's mostly mucus. So now you have got a stagnation in your lymphs right underneath the thoracic duct. That's why it itches, because it's fluid that keeps building in that area. So there are a couple things you can do. You could take your knuckles and start massaging your clavicle bone like this. You can take your arms and raise your arm and start doing this, the lymph nodes underneath here. You can take some Himalayan salt and place that dry salt on top of the cyst. Himalayan salt is the same minerals that our lymph water is. If you want to thicken mucus in the lymph water, you can use Himalayan salt, right? So you can start doing that, and you could do that now. Start rubbing your clavicle here. Start pounding underneath your arms. You can also use either a Himalayan salt rock or a gazillion essential oils. You can use mullein leaf. You can use, there are a gazillion things in nature that heal the natural body. And that's the great thing about nature. So when you all go to a doctor is dictated to about what they can do. So if you sit in front of a doctor and the doctor knows that there is a protocol that may help you, but that goes outside of their parameters, depending on the doctor, they will tell you or they won't. Or they won't. They are dictated. That's what the AMA is for. That's why Rockefeller created the American Medical Association, so that he can control what doctors do. Period. It doesn't mean that I am speaking negatively about doctors, because their desire is to make us better. Their training is what kills us. So when I say that we are complacent in our fear of the hopelessness, listen, our healthcare system creates more hopelessness and more fear than anything else in the world. But they're supposed to be our healthcare system. They're supposed to make it better, right? They're supposed to make that better. Maya, did that rock work yesterday on your breathing? Somebody that was using a salt rock nose. Listen, and the thing is, for natural two lips, good to see you, my dear. The thing about natural modalities is if you just try it, it works instantaneously. When my clients get up and see their results in their after pictures, the first thing that they say is, "Oh my God, that's amazing." Oh my God, no, it's not. That's normal. What most of y'all are going through, being sick before you're supposed to get better, that's the oh my God. That's stupid, crazy, and absolutely insane. The idea that we have accepted, and when I say we, remember, we're a collective energy. If some of us are effing up, it's on all of us, right? The fact that we actually believe that getting better requires us to get worse first. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know where, I don't know when our brains shut off. Yes, I do. When they created TV. That's why they created TV. So remember, television programming. They know that what goes through here programs the brain. What the brain signals to the body is then what it is, which is why every single 30 seconds on TV, you're watching a pharmaceutical commercial, because then your brain says, oh my God, I'm sick. Oh my God, my leg shakes. I have that. You know how, y'all are making big pharma incredibly wealthy by killing you. That's oh, that's a fun conversation. Somebody asked me about post-COVID conversation. Inflammation. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, we are now acknowledging that you have to feel bad to get better. You do know that's not true, right? You know, things that benefit the body when you use them. You don't get sick first. Hello. What most of y'all went and did, and now you sick, and now you're like, oh my God, but I'm not as sick as I would be. You know how crazy you sound when you say that? I told my clients, don't you ever walk in here and say that to me, because I will clown you. I will clown you, and I will talk about you until it makes logical sense to you, because there you go, giving power to the doctors again, who don't have that power to are you okay? So for them to be able to say to you, that that taking a toxic shot is going to prohibit you from getting a virus worse than you would have gotten it before you got the shot, sounds asinine to me. So you are saying to them, or they're saying to you, right? They're saying to you, oh, we're going to talk about, I didn't even watch that, and I'm so glad I didn't, because the universe kept me away from that. I am so glad, because they just took a whole bunch of zombies the other night at the Grammys. A whole bunch of y'all just dropped right off that cliff. But that means, for you to say that they're right, means that you're saying they can look at you and say, oh my gosh, your chance of getting the virus and being in the hospital is, oh my God, 90%. How do you know that? How do you know that? You don't. It's impossible. You can't. Not only would they have to know that, then they would have to know what your chances were after you took the shot. How do they know that? They don't. They don't even know the efficacy of the shot, because if they were looking at that, they would take your antibody levels after the freaking jab. And did they? No. So they don't have data. They simply just spew shit and be like, that's data. First of all, I'm not a computer, so I don't want any data regulating anything that has to do with me at all. Data's for computers. Data's for reports. I'm human. I talk results, right? So I don't need data. People are like, well, Camille, how can you say that such and such works? Because I've done it and I've seen it, and my clients experience it, and they experience it over and over and over. Isn't that the only thing you're worried about? Oh no, you want to wait until the numbers come out? The numbers that are created by the same government who created the virus in the first place? Come on, y'all. I love y'all too much for y'all to keep running down that road, right? I absolutely need y'all to stop running down that road. Yeah. So I think, and I'm so glad, thank you, universe, that I did not watch the Grammys the other night, because those of you that did, you better go outside and ground, get in some Himalayan salt. You better go do something, because and exactly, sponsored by Pfizer, and they literally did a satanic ritual on stage. And what do they use? They always use music. Why? Because we are music on the inside. We are frequency. Frequency is vibration and sound, which is why they use it to try to control you, right? And listen, there are millions of viruses out there, but guess what, y'all? Guess what? Viruses, none of them, no virus, none, zero. No virus can live in an oxygenated state. And that is especially crucial and true in the body, which is why you have to feed your lymph water so that it carries the oxygen so that no virus can live in your body. The body was not meant to break down. You do know that, right? You do know that. You do know that. And look at that. That's right. Satan was the musician of music. And what did they say? That the earth is his playground? Yo, he has got many of us by the cojones, and we don't even know it. Okay? We don't even know it. It's in the music. It's in the food. It's in some of y'all's family members. It's everywhere. And he is like, they are backpedaling now. But what's sad is there's still people who are running to go get number 4 and 5 and 6. And then they're wondering why they're sick. They shouldn't have to give you a virus for your body to fight a virus. That's stupid. How is your body going to learn how to fight a virus if they're giving you a false one, or they're giving you a forced one? Your body, that's why the lymphs are supposed to run 24/7, 365. That's why they are using things to stagnate your lymph water. Do you think that sitting at home for 2 years was arbitrary for them? Do you? No. When you sit, what are you doing? You are collapsing. Erica, good evening. Yo, so many of my affiliates are on. Y'all better go and get some healing done. And before I say this, I haven't even posted the July class yet, but the July class may almost be full. So I will say this. In the next couple of days, I'm going to post it. If you want to get in it, because it's going to go quick. It might be gone now, but you want to go quick, right? So when we sit, do you know what happens when we sit? We collapse your the majority of your lymphatic trash cans live in the abdominal area and in and around the reproductive organs. The minute we sit, we collapse lymphatic function by 50%. If your lymph water is not moving, how is it going to work? How is it going to work to protect you? It can't. Sitting at home for 2 years was exactly part of the plan. If your lymph system is not exposed, how is it supposed to work? Like your muscles. How are your muscles going to work if you don't work them? How? If your lymphs aren't exposed to anything, what do? Like a muscle, they atrophy. Yeah, they atrophy. Yeah. So, yes, the gut is the brain, but the gut is fed by the sinuses. The gut can't function. The cells can't function if they're not breathing from up here. But if you've now atrophied your brain because all you choose to do is watch the news, right? The one, I call it the new, not the news, the new, because they all tell the same exact story because they're all owned by the same exact people. If you have now allowed your brain to atrophy, then your body follows suit. And you're going to be sick, right? You think that you've got every disease in the world because your frequency told you that. Your frequency is what the reason we are made up of water and electricity is the electricity vibrates the water and it makes the water move. Yeah. But if your frequency is atrophying because your synapses aren't firing because you insist on just being fed all day, your brain is dead and your body's going to follow suit. Can't do anything else. That's what it does. So you have to work the brain to move the water. If the water's not moving, you're not breathing, your body is now hot and inflamed, and they call that disease. But y'all want to make this shit a lot harder than it is. It's not hard at all. It's the easiest thing in the world. Like I said, it's our birthright. It's the way we came into this place. It's the way we were placed on this planet, which has severely gotten on my nerves. But that's the way we were meant to function. When people see the results, these LFD results, you could ask any of my affiliates. It's not just me. You could ask, and it's not just me because it's not just them. It's all of us. We prove to you the power of your own body. That's what LFD is. That's all it is. And you can experience it as soon as you lay on our table. That's it. And that is not us, y'all, which is why I want everybody to learn it. Jesus, if people knew what we knew, none of y'all would go. None of y'all. Listen, there would be no big pharma, right? There would absolutely be no big pharma, and we would not be controlled by insurance companies. Renee and Nikki. Oh my God, everybody's on, y'all. What's up? What's up? And y'all can ask the affiliates. They're on. Listen, they're experiencing the same thing I'm experiencing. Their clients are experiencing the same thing. And so that's why we get so, Mark is on too. What's up, my sweet? That's why we're so passionate about what we do, because it's so easy, y'all. But y'all have been programmed out of the power of your own body. And it is so sad. It's sad. Because many of y'all are going to die a lot earlier than you need to. Sorry, that was kind of morbid, but true either way. And you all allow yourself to be told by another human being that your life is going to be a certain way, irregardless of any other freaking thing that you do or experience in your life. You know how stupid that is? That's like somebody coming to me and saying, hey, Camille, I have a certain symptom and we can't get rid of it. And I don't know how to affect that symptom. And then I just say to you, oh yeah, that's never going to go away. Instead of saying, no, I don't know the answer. I don't know the cause of that. So when you all are being acknowledged, or when you all are being told that you're terminal, your question should be, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does terminal mean? Does terminal mean you have, as a doctor, does terminal mean you have tried every single thing under the sun, natural or otherwise, on billions of people that have this same symptomatology as me, and you have watched them until they die? You've tried all that, right? You've tried all that, and it didn't work then. So that's what you're saying is terminal? Or are you telling me you're terminal because you don't know what in the hell is going on with my body, and it's not written in your books and you can't find it on Google, and so you don't know what else to do because the insurance company tells you you can't, and now you're dictating that I'm terminal? Those are two very, 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 very different situations. Very different, right? So yeah, mommy pouch. Come on, let's come on, y'all. Let's get easy. Let's start moving. Let's do the person who has the cyst. Have you done this the massage yet? The mommy pouch, y'all. Back to what I just said about sitting for 2 years. There are inguinal lymphs at the hips. Okay? Inguinal lymphs start at the side of the hips underneath the flanks and go straight down around the pelvic region in the V. If you look down at your mommy pouch, and I'm guaranteeing this to you because I know, because this is what I see every day. If you look under your mommy pouch, if you lift your mommy pouch, if you have a scar there where you've had surgery, you are going to literally take your fingers and feel across the scar, and I guarantee you there's going to be some hardness there. Hardness there is the same as a cyst, polyp, or tumor. It's your groin lymphs that, because there's not enough lymphatic oxygen moving into those nodes can't fully dump through the scar tissue of the scar, and it keeps dumping into the abdominal cavity. That's why they say that disease lives in the gut. It absolutely lives in the gut, but it don't start there. It lives in the gut because the majority of the lymph node trash cans that we have in the body live in the gut. Why? Because all the organs are in there except for the heart and the lungs, but everything else is in there underneath the kidneys. So understand, if cellular function is what functions the body, you can imagine how many are necessary in the gut. However, the cells in the gut don't breathe. They have to be fed oxygen. Oxygen is filtered through one place in the body. One, 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 one. That's the nose. That's it. That's the nose. So you can imagine, if you're inflamed in the sinuses and all of those cells in the lymph nodes in the gut need to breathe, but you're not breathing, right? Not sufficiently. You have allergies or asthma, or you have dark circles, or you have hair loss, or you have wide mandibles, or you have freckles or moles. All of those are sinus problems. So if you have those indicating that filtration of air is not happening, what do you think is going in the gut? More mucus than clean lymphatic water carrying oxygen, right? Right. So so for that person who has that where you itch, take your knuckle right here and use it to pound where you itch. Because what is itching is the dumping of the toxicity of the lymphs into the tissues instead of into the nodes. So you got to snap the nodes open, right? Or you can use a massager to do that. We have to understand that the body was created and sealed on the outside because all the functionality to heal it is on the inside. That's why you got to put shit in it, right? Or on the skin. So if you've got all these lymph nodes down here, what do y'all think fibroids, endometriosis, all of that, polyps, all of that, prostate issues, what do you think that is? There is a blockage in the inguinal lymphs, and your lymphs can't detox out through the urinary canal or through menstruation. Those of you who keep going to get operated on because you bleed heavy because the lymphs aren't breathing enough to dump fully through your menstrual cycle. So just like if your body doesn't get enough food and you feed it every now and then, when you do feed it, what's it going to do? It's going to hold on to that fat. Like, oh shit, I might not eat again, so let me hold on to all of this. It's the same thing with your cycle. If your lymph nodes are not functioning regularly, that's the process of the cycle of the body. If they're not processing, once you get to that point where your body is menstruating, which is one of the 6 forms of detoxes, right? And your lymph nodes are not dumping correctly and they're dumping into the tissues, you will bleed like a stuck pig. But then what do? Y'all go and get parts taken out. Y'all do know when you bleed heavy, that's not an actual uterine problem. That's a lymph problem. Everything is a lymph problem. The uterus can't do what it needs. The fallopian tubes and ovaries can't do what they need to do because the lymphs aren't doing what they need to do. And then what y'all do is you go and get all that shit taken out. And because lymph vessels are mostly water, every time you get cut, you're cutting through hundreds of lymph vessels. And then over the next couple of years, you can't understand why you've got 2 or 3 more diagnoses. Well, Jesus, you just let them cut through a system that was already vulnerable, but then you just let them cut through it. Here you go. And because they don't know about lymph nodes, and because you can't separate the specific lymph nodes from the vessels, then every time you go in, trauma on trauma on trauma. That's why those of y'all that have gotten fibroids are like, oh my God, they came back. No, they didn't come back. Fibroids are not a thing. Fibroids are like big cysts and polyps and tumors. All they are is the lymph node trash cans keep dumping into the tissues and not out. That's not hard, right? That is not hard. And look, people talking about their lymphs and their lymph detox and their cycle has lessened. Jesus, mine too. I mean, those of you who have heavy menstrual cycles, here's another little homework thing that I'm gonna give to you. Same thing that I was telling the woman who had the mommy pouch. Things in the abdomen have to pass through the inguinal lymphs. If the inguinal lymphs are not getting enough lymphatic function, then a scar tissue ridge is created at the lymphs and everything sits inside the abdomen and it keeps dumping and dumping and dumping on itself. That's why it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So what do? You open the exit door. What's the exit door? The inguinal lymphs. Those of you who have hip problems, you don't have a hip problem. You have a lymph problem because you've been sitting a lot and you've been closing your lymphs without exercise or some other counteraction, and the water keeps dumping into the trash cans. They keep dumping into the tissues instead of dumping out. You can take, again, a massager. Remember, cells under a microscope vibrate. So you want to stimulate them in the way in their own language. What do? You vibrate them. Vibration. Create the percussion in the water. Shake them loose. The reason LFD works on people is because the wand, the high frequency I've created to determine that stagnation in your body. And so it gives your body the electricity it needs to open up the lymphs and start moving. That's it. Like it's not that hard. That's the way we were meant to function. Stop allowing yourself to think that people who just learned some things 200 years ago, right, know how the body functions. You do know that Rockefeller created it like 200 years ago, right? But how many millennia have humans been on this planet? And so people are like, well, Camille, what about this disease? Okay, understand this. The body has its own ebb and flow of inflaming and uninflaming. Yeah. If you happen to go to the doctor on a day when your body's in its ebb of inflammation, you're going to go to the doctor, get a test, and then they're going to tell you what? They're going to tell you your antibodies are high. Well, shit, of course they're high. We live in America. We don't have clean sun anymore. We don't eat clean food. We're not even breathing oxygen outside. Not to mention the stress of all the BS that they show on TV or the stress of social media. So I would hope my antibodies are high, but to a doctor who doesn't know about the function of the lymphs, what they consider high is an infection. No, it's not. It's my body doing what my body's supposed to freaking be doing. Now, the problem would be is if we were having severe symptoms and the antibodies were low. That would mean the lymphs weren't working. But antibodies are sent through, the T cells are sent through the lymph water. That's what the lymph water is for. Yes, those vibration plates and those vibration platforms are crucial for exactly what I said, because they take your entire body and they vibrate your lymph water. You have to keep the water flowing in order to breathe. You have to. If you don't, see, Moss, I see you. That's what Himalayan salt and sea moss are for. They are full of the minerals that supplement the minerals in our lymph water. You do know that the water in our body is mineral, not vitamin based, right? Vitamin is human nonsense. We're made of minerals, right? That's salt, right? So that's why we cry salt, we sweat salt, we pee salt. Not that I personally know that, but from testing, I do know that we are salt. So the illogic is your so-called government and the agencies that they create to dictate what you should and shouldn't do tell you not to eat salt. No, everybody should be eating salt. Himalayan salt, not freaking iodized salt. Himalayan salt consists of minerals that feed the minerals in our salt water. Iodized salt, they have removed the minerals from and they've bleached it, which is why it's white. Nothing in nature is naturally white. It all has a color. All of it has a color. If it is white, they have removed the minerals and bleached it. So you can't eat that. That'll kill you for real. But listen, those of you who have high blood pressure, again, I am never going to give you something that's going to kill you. That's what they do. You can try these things, and I've tried it on my clients, and it works for them. If you have high blood pressure, drop a little Himalayan salt in your water every day and watch what happens to your blood pressure. It will balance out and friggin' balance out, right? It'll balance out. It's easy. Our bodies are perfect on the inside until we put all the crap on the outside on the inside. So we have to make sure that the inside functions the way it needs to. Do we need to know about organs and all that stuff? Not really, because if the system that feeds the organs isn't working, then we have a problem. So our focus should be on the lymphs, because if the lymphs don't flow, no organ works, right? Because the lymphs carry the oxygen that the organs need to function, right? Yeah. So we have to use logic. My people following on Chit Chat Radio, I am sorry I ran over. Thanks again, as always, for being on. Hop on IG. I'll be on a couple minutes. Otherwise, I'll see y'all next week. Yeah. So we have to use